Welcome to my humble house of learning. Today we will discuss the recent nerf to Cisterns and how to open with Byzantines now, so that we don't have to delay our powerful Cistern buff for too long and still get the fast and efficient mercenary timings we want. So let's dive in. Here we are in the Dark Age, and right from the get-go we have to change something from what we are used to. I am sending 5 villagers to stone, and 1 goes on sheep. Now, I know that you could also just send 1 villager on stone, have 1 villager build a house and then go on to sheep, and 1 villager builds a gold mine immediately and then go on gold, because that would be just enough. That would be 126 stone once the stone is dropped off, and then the guy from stone could build the cistern and then go on gold as well. You can open like this. But the problem with that opening, in my opinion, is, well, there's 2 problems. 1, it is harder to micro at the beginning, and 2, it actually doesn't give you as much stone, especially later on in Feudal Age, once you have Feudal Age, and so your second cistern is delayed. And I don't think that's worth it. But you can try around with that option as well if you want to. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm sending my first villager out to build a house and a gold mine and then go on gold. And my villager that I moved on to food at the beginning, who has slaughtered the first sheep, that guy now goes out, builds the cistern on the way to the gold. I always like to build it on the corner here. Obviously sometimes, and in this case you could argue that it should probably be a little closer to the wood line. But I'm planning to build my second cistern over here, and I didn't want to block my cistern having to build it too far out so that it's possible to be attacked. So I was fine with building it here on the corner, and you can also just always build it on the corner on the way to gold. But just be aware that sometimes it might make sense to move it a little bit further inside to hit more of the wood line in this case, sometimes more of the berries and stuff like that. Yeah, but don't sweat it too much. I think this is fine. You can also use your second villager coming out to build the cistern and then move on to gold. This villager is also queued onto gold after building the cistern. This way it's a little faster, but again, you can also use the second villager coming out so that both of your first and your second villager are both queued onto gold. That also works. Now, from here, we have 6 villagers on food and 2 on gold, and we rally further onto food. Before the nerf, we were able to just rally 8 onto food and then just build a lumber camp and go on to wood. That is no longer possible because we need more food now that we have spent some of the time that we used to have to gather food in order to gather stone. And so we have to rally onto food for as long as we are in Dark Age. That ends up being 11 villagers on food. And then at 220 we can drop off, 220 to 225 we can drop off food with 3 villagers and have them build a lumber camp. It's enough to build it with 2, and 1 can already go and chop a tree. And then you have 4 villagers drop off and move out to the berries to build your landmark, as usual. You can move them out a little earlier so that they are already on the side of the berries, so that, you know, they can move quicker to the berries. But again, not that important. And now, obviously, we're rallying to wood, 4 on sheep, 2 on gold, for building the Grand Winery. Our scout drops off at roughly 3 minutes, and we're ready to wood. This is pretty much as usual, as you would always do. Because we now obviously need to build a lot of production buildings. 1 house on the wood line, could build it here or here, so that later on it gives us vision and makes a safer wood line. Now we build a barracks for Limitane, We build it as close as possible to the woodline, but also in range of the cistern, because the back cistern in this case is going to be our conscriptio cistern, whereas the forwards one is going to be our cistern that we put on Dialecticus for increased research speed. So obviously this one needs to be in the range of the conscriptio one. As always, once you age it up, the 4 villagers from sheep go onto berries. We're still ready to wood until we have 7 on wood, and then we're ready onto sheep again. So that we have enough food to make limitanis later on. For now we start with the upgrade, because we don't have enough food yet. We immediately build a mercenary house with the same villager that built the barracks. The mercenary house obviously is also supposed to be in this influence. And we can queue up wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow is pretty good for Byzantines, especially because gathering berries, gathering wood, which Byzantines need to do a lot of, is quite walk intensive for the villagers, and so wheelbarrow helps a lot. And we also need to move out to a 2nd and 3rd berry patch, which also wheelbarrow helps. Now, this villager or another villager that is closer, I'm using this villager now to showcase how it goes with one villager, builds the cistern, the 2nd cistern. So we can't build it immediately after aging up, but we can build it at 5 minutes or 5 minutes 10. And yeah, we're building it here so that it's still safe. It covers all of our wood and all of our berries. And it doesn't have too long of a connection, not too far away from our first cistern, so that it isn't too expensive to build the connection. One villager from wood builds another house. I could have also built this house over here to have a little bit more vision. Would have probably been better, but yeah, it's whatever. You build a house so that you have enough for your connection. Sometimes 16 might not be enough and you need 24. And then the villager here builds the connection, and once they're done with this connection, they will build a blacksmith. Obviously, once you hit your 480 olive oil, you make javelin throwers in this case. If you want to make longbows, then obviously you need a little bit more. If you want to make ketchups, you need a little less. But yeah, once, you know, that's normal as always. Always constantly produce limitani. And blacksmith comes out. And at this point, we're on 15 food, 7 wood, 2 on gold. This villager, after having built the blacksmith, is going to go on gold. And from here we can decide what we want to do. From here, now we can do whatever we want. We can rally to wood. And just go feudal all in. Continue making limitane, javelin throwers, then maybe add another counter unit if we need to. We now have 3 on gold, so we can start getting our upgrades. I chose to get horticulture before getting double broadex, because if you were choosing not to play into feudal, if your opponent is fast castling, for instance, or your opponent is going to DC and you choose to attack that with the gulp build going castle, then double broadex isn't as valuable as horticulture is. So you get horticulture first, and then you decide, do you want to play feudal? In that case, you get double broadex next, and then your blacksmith upgrades. Or do you want to play a sort of castle age transition now, in which case you'd ready to gold and move off of wood, and then you can hit castle age at 9:30 or 10 minutes. That's what I'm doing now, just as an example. I believe this way is a little cleaner than just having one on stone in the beginning, because then you have to wait for the blacksmith to be finished to then build the second cistern. And it's already kind of annoying that you now have to wait for your second cistern longer, because that makes it a bit more difficult if your first cistern is already covering your berries and the grain winery. Then that is obviously supposed to be your dialecticus cistern, and then it's a little more annoying to find the right space for your production buildings on the second cistern, because the second cistern isn't built yet already. So, you know, those are just things that you have to look out for, but this is how I would recommend building Byzantines from now on. I hope you learned something today, and if you did, I am a Conqueror player and professional coach in real life. So should you be interested in personalized AoE 4 coaching tailored to your specific needs, let me know on Discord and I'd be happy to help. Also, you can ask follow-up questions or give feedback in the comment section below, and leave a like if you want to help more people to find this video. Thank you very much for watching, and class dismissed.